Welcome back, our dear viewers. As we have promised at the beginning of the show, that today we are going to talk about the inauguration of the Museum of Islamic Art after its restoration in a few days. The museum was partially damaged during the explosion that took place in 2014 of the Security Directorate in Giza. Many artifacts that were damaged, and the restoration took place, and it would be inaugurated in a few days by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. To shed more light about the importance of the Islamic Art Museum, we are very much delighted to have our dear guest in the studio, Dr. Ismail Hamid. He is a researcher in the Islamic history. Hello, sir.
Hello, morning.
Morning, Dr. Ismail. And first, would like to know more about preparations for the inauguration of the Museum of Islamic Arts, which is due to take place in the coming days.
Surely that museum is a very important museum according
Yes.
to its historical value and also the collection that it has. And if a little bit we talk about the history of the foundation of
Yes.
that museum as a base for our talking about the preparation for that new inauguration. So that museum was founded in 1903. That is the real foundation of it. It is in the square of Bab al-Khalq. But before it had lots of also steps for the foundation of a museum that is for the Arabic monuments. Nearly 1869, so it was the early step of this. So they collected some of the Islamic monuments that they were found in the mosques and in the Islamic sites, and they bought them in a small house. And then after that, it was moved step by step till the foundation of the new one now, which is in its place from that time, from 1903. That museum before was called the House of Arabic Monuments. Okay, so it was just for the Arabics, but because of the collections that they came from different Islamic countries, from Iran and Turkey and from other countries that they are not Arabic, so we could not call it as well and to be as Arabic monuments, so it became as the Islamic, and it's to be more general and to have more opened nomination just for the Arabic monuments or of this stuff. So it was opened at that time, and it became very important. And if we compare even with the other museum of the Cairo Museum, that is of the Pharaonic history, so we talk of the foundation 1901. So just 2 years that for the Islamic museum, that to be opened just 2 years after the foundation of the Pharaonic one. So these are the two main monuments or museums for Islamic monuments and Pharaonic monuments. Also a little bit after, so it was the foundation of the Coptic Museum. So also we have a collection, and according to the cultures of the city of Cairo and the whole Egypt, especially in Cairo, from its Pharaonic time and then to Coptic time and then also to the Islamic times. So I think that is a great collection to have all these varieties of history and cultures and to be there on such places in Cairo. So for any visitors to Cairo, so is promised to see great collections of different time that is to show the heritage of Egypt across the history.
Yes. What are the most important artifacts included at that museum, Dr. Hamid? And did any of these important artifacts damaged or destroyed during the explosion that took place in front of the museum in 2014?
So the museum before the attack that happened there 3 years ago, so it has nearly 1,400 pieces. So it is a little bit short collections. The problem that they put some small collections in one room. So and a big number of staff, we talk about tens of thousands of pieces and collections, they were stored in the stores of the museum. So it was a big problem for this. For that reason, when they prepared for the new inauguration that would be tomorrow, okay, so they made another sections and departments, and they enlarged the surface and the number of the rooms for the new museum. And it said that the collection will be like 5,000 pieces inside.
So they added more pieces.
They added more pieces, but also I think that big number of pieces that is still also on the stores. So I think that they should find different ways in order to put more of these collections in the
display.
and to be displayed. And we cannot put them on the stores. And also same problem like the Pharaonic Museum also. We talk about tens of thousands of pieces that they are stocked on the stores of the museum. So with the foundation of the new museum that is in the pyramid area, so I think there will be more surfaces and places in order to keep more stuff over there. Also for that museum, but I think also it's a good step from 1,500 pieces and to be 5,000 pieces.
You mentioned a new museum.
So, the what?
Yes, you mentioned a new museum
Yes.
next to the pyramids.
Yeah, that is for the Pharaonic. That is in
Yes.
order to move.
Grand Egyptian
What is
Museum.
that
Grand
is for the
Egyptian-
Grand Egyptian Museum.
Yes. Are you going to move some artifacts from
yes.
the Islamic Art Museum to
There?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No, there's different time, different culture, so we cannot
Okay.
mix that by that. But I took from the ancient museum or the old one and to be to the new one. So
Yes.
the surface, it gives them the chance to put more pieces
Yes.
that they are accommodated on the stores of the museum. So I hope so. But for the Islamic Museum, they are, limited by the surface of the museum. Just they do some restorations of the pieces and the building and the facade of the museum that was destroyed during the attack 3 years ago. And also, as you asked for a question about the numbers of the pieces that they would destroy, they talk about more than 160 pieces that they were destroyed. No, 160.
Completely destroyed?
Destroyed some of them. They were
Yeah.
completely, that they were closer to the facade and closer to the
Yes.
attack. And some of them, they were a little bit touched. So it was the great work of the restoration and the team of
They
work of
succeeded
that.
in restoring these
they
pieces?
succeeded to do some
Yes.
of these pieces that they were a little bit lightly distracted. So they tried to do the best in order to build them back.
And they
But
were
some of the
restored-
pieces,
yes,
some of the pieces that they were closer to the facade and the attack, I think it's so
damaged.
hard for them to be entirely damaged because of that.
To what extent, Dr. Hamid, the museum, the Islamic Art Museum, is displaying the real history, the real history of Islam?
Yeah, surely that, after the coming of the Arabs in Egypt, 640, so we had lots of dynasties, okay? We have, first of all, after the Umayyad dynasty, and then the Abbasid dynasty, and then we have the time of the rulers that they became independent of the Caliphate, okay? The Caliphate of Baghdad or the
Yes.
Caliphate in Damascus. So we started by the Ptolemaic time, and Ikhshidid time, and then Fatimid time,
Yes.
and then the Mamluk times, and then the Turkish time. Every time of these, surely that we have great monuments and the great heritage of that time. So Cairo as a city, it is the richest city of Islamic monuments in the whole world. So in the guides of that were made by the Europeans themselves or the Orientalists, they call Cairo as the city of 1,000 minarets. So you imagine that 1,000 minarets, it means 1,000 old mosques that dated back to the Middle Ages. Some of them they date back to more than 1,000 years ago, like the mosque of Amr ibn al-As, the Al-Azhar mosque, and the mosque of Al-Hakim, and lots of mosques that dated back to more than 1,000 years ago. And after that, also some others date back to 9th century or 10 or 8 or 7, whatever. So that collection of all the mosques, that is a great collection. So when you go to the museum, surely that you will explore that time. And every dynasty with its characteristic of architecture and the style and art also of every time. Of every time we have style of mosques, style of houses and palaces, of sabils or the fountains, and also tekeya or the places for the Sufis that they were there in order to do their life as they want to be isolated of the society and to worship. That is a great collection that show us different times of Islamic history in Egypt. So also we have two main floors in the museum. That is according to what was before. The first floor, that is according to the kind of artifacts. Okay, so we talk about some rooms and halls about all the copies of Quran that they date back to the first centuries of Islam. Also, we have some rooms about the copper works or artifacts, some work of the wooden artifacts, some of the textiles, and also different niches that they, or mihrabs that they came from the old mosques. You know that is a great variety. Also for the second floor for the museum itself, as it was before, so they made it for the stores and the pieces that they started to put them now. So we are waiting for the new inauguration for the museum and to see what is the difference between the exhibition of the stuff and pieces before and what after that. Yeah.
So were restoration works carried out by Egyptians?
Yeah, sure, yeah. That is, I think that is completely Egyptian stuff. And I saw lots of their works, and they bought this in the site of the Islamic Museum, and also especially for the restorers that they make the restoration of the work. And I think they made a great job, and that what we wait also for the new inauguration. And that is very important for this, and also to put that museum on the map of the tourism of Egypt and Cairo.
It's a very important point that you have tackled, Dr. Hamid, putting that museum back on the map for the tourism. To what extent we have to promote for that museum in order to attract tourists from different destinations? Because I do believe that many people now, or many tourists, are not very much aware of the importance or the significance of that museum. So how can we use that opportunity of the inauguration to promote for the Islamic tourism here in Egypt?
I think in such time that we live now, we are in a great need and a necessity in order to use such a museum to show the tourists that in Islam we have a great heritage, we have a great art. So surely that when they go, for example, to Al-Mu'izz Street as an open museum of different mosques, different houses, palaces, that they back to that, they are astonished of what they see over there. And in order to appreciate Islam, it's not as in the media that they show that Muslims, that they are violent and they are the rumors that they took there. No, Islam, we have a religion, we have principles, we have morals, we have an art, we have a great art. So that, I think that is a great job of the Egyptian government and also for the authority of promotion of tourism in order to benefit of such a museum, to put it, even to make the ticket with a cheap price in order to attract more tourists and also to attract the travel agencies in order to organize a visit to that museum, to talk to the people about the greatness and the glory of Islam and Islamic art. That is very important, and that is what we need in that time in order to correct the image of Islam in the West, on the same time to benefit in the tourist movement.
So in your opinion, what kind of tourists are interested in Islamic art museums, especially that you said that it's not found anywhere else in the world?
No, there are some Islamic monuments that in Iran and Turkey, and they have something like that. But also as Cairo, as the city of the greatest collection of Islamic heritage, so I think it's worth it to have such a great museum like that. And I think that, first of all, that is for the Arabs, for the Muslim tourists that they came from Malaysia, from Indonesia, and from South Asia, and also for the Europeans that they are interested. You know that even that about the campaigns or negative campaigns about Islam in the West, but lots of Europeans, they need to know about Islam, to know about the religion, to know about the morals of Islam and to the Islamic art. So lots of people, they are interested to see such kind of this, but also we need also to do and to work and to do lots of things in order to attract them and to give them more promotions in order to come and to see that museum.
Indeed. Dr. Ismail Hamid, researcher in Islamic history, thank you very much, sir, for your precious input.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ismail, and I'd like to thank my dear colleague Mahis Romia.
Thank you very much, Shireen.
And this was our last thing and segment for today, and see you tomorrow with a new group.